I painted 21 mini paintings in just 3 days. Yep, 21 tiny little artworks, each one precisely 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, carefully cut from watercolor paper, watercolor markers and colored pencils. And if you're thinking, why would anyone do that? Same. I was thinking that. And that was my thought when I first stacked them all together in front of me. But here's why. I stumbled across something on TikTok called ACEOs. They're tiny collectible original artworks the size of trading cards. People buy them, trade them, keep them in albums like little treasures. And I thought, wait a second, if people are actually collecting these, maybe this is my way to practice, push myself, and see if anyone out there would actually want my art. So I set myself a pretty ridiculous challenge, and the challenge was 21 paintings, 3 days, and only 2 hours each evening after finishing my freelance work. So this video is the story of how I did it, what I learned, and whether any of them actually sold. And I'll tell you now, the answer surprised me. But even more than that, this is a story about what it means to try building an art career when your time is limited, your energy is drained, and when you're constantly questioning if you're crazy for even trying. So let's rewind for a second. By day, I'm a freelancer and not in anything glamorous, not even remotely art related. My work is client projects, emails, admin tasks, the kind of stuff that pays the bills but doesn't exactly make me leap out of bed in the morning. But alongside that, I've always been an artist, drawing, painting, creating. That's where my heart really is. It's the thing that makes me feel most like myself, and that's what I was trying to achieve in this video. The problem that I have is my energy. By the time I finished freelancing, I'm drained, my brain feels fried, and my motivation to sit down and create disappeared. It's so easy to turn on Netflix and binge watch as well as flip through TikTok. But yet, I still want this. I want to see if I can actually build an art career from my art. Even saying that out loud feels a bit wild, like I'm admitting a secret, a dream that people might laugh at, but it's real. So when I discovered ACEOs on TikTok, these little art trading cards, I saw an opportunity. Something in my brain clicked, and it was a way to, practice without overthinking. They're so small, they can be very experimental. It's a way to test the waters. Would anyone actually care about my art enough to buy something so small? And a good thing about them being so small is that they're really affordable. So it's a way for me to challenge myself to create quickly and consistently without spending hours on obsessing over perfection. And that's when the idea hit me. What if I decided to paint 21 of them? Not spread out over weeks, but slammed into just 3 days of time. Could I even do it? Would they even look good? Would I fail halfway through? Those were all the questions running through my brain, and that's what set me off on this tiny, slightly insane art marathon. I usually sit down and create one piece at a time, but this time I decided to create all of them. So I started by cutting down the paper to size by 2 2.5 to 3.5 inches. That's the exact ACEO dimensions. Stacking them felt both exciting and intimidating. They looked so small, but I knew that they'd demand a bit of creativity. So I laid out all of my tools, got everything ready, and that's why I'm going into the backgrounds and doing them first, tackling them first. And just thinking about what I have to do for them. The first one was a little bit awkward because I didn't really know what I was doing. But I started to get into the groove of things, like with just sticking them down on this page like I'm doing here, and just using a sort of scrap sort of journal book that I can just have a scrap journal book as the background. So I didn't mind if I was getting paint on the edges afterwards. This journal will be my art journal junk book, so I'm just not even worrying about the excess paint that goes off onto the edges. And this was very, very fun to do. This is just a little butterfly image, nothing particularly special about it. As you can see, I've got very varied topics. When I first started, I overthought. I was thinking, should I go for mushrooms, flowers, animals, or patterns? Should they be an all connected in theme, or should I let each one be different? And eventually I reminded myself that this is just practice, so I just needed to start and just draw whatever I wanted to do. So I started with little characters, I started with houses, so this is like a little field scene with a little house, lots of different pieces. And by the end of the 2 hours I had 6 cards done, and for a moment I felt unstoppable. That's when I realized that it's just all about fun and just making the time to create them. I made tea, I lit up a candle, and I told myself just to do one at a time and see where my brush took me. These guys were like these characters in a cart. This was a girl that I did as well. I did this like random blob shape and made it into sort of like a caricature head. So they were all different experimentation. They weren't polished pieces. I was letting the watercolor bleed. I was layering unexpected colors, sketching over it with pencils in ways that I normally wouldn't. And I think some of my favorite pieces actually came from this looseness. The time pressure weirdly made me a little bit braver. So it meant that time crunch, just giving me a couple of hours every single night, meant that I needed to get experimental. And this character whistling, walking along was so cute. I also did this sort of like cauldron theme, because I was thinking of something a little bit witchy, so I did like a cauldron. This wasn't one of my favorites, but I did still love them. I still love everything about every single one of these illustrations, but some are more fun than others, and I think that's what happens when you create them. You just experiment and you see what works, you see what you love, and I think that's what I found throughout during this experiment. I did lots of different heads, characters. Again, here's another blob head caricature character. I did so many different subjects. I did these 3 characters, and because I was letting them dry in between, you can see that I'm flipping between different pieces. So I was working on all 21 of them all at the same time. I wasn't just sitting down working on one at a time. I was just laying down paint, then going back in with some pencil, going back in with the acrylic markers, just letting different layers dry if I was working with the watercolors, and just making sure that I was taking my time, but also working in a rotation. So there was no specific one that I finished first. I was just working in different sorts of layers. But here's what I've gained from just by doing them. I gained discipline. I proved to myself that I can sit down every night, and even with just 2 hours, I can actually complete some pieces of art. I built confidence. 21 finished paintings in 3 days gave me evidence that I can produce more than I thought was possible. And creativity under pressure. The time crunch forced me to stop second guessing and trust my instincts. That alone feels really huge. So why did I paint 21 mini paintings in 3 days? Because I needed the practice, because I wanted to see if these ACEOs could actually sell, and because I wanted to prove to myself that even with a draining day job that is with limited hours, that I could still create something meaningful. And now the next step is the scariest one, which is actually listing them. And that's what my next video will be about, where I show you what happens when I finally put these tiny little paintings out into the world. So if you want to see the moment, whether they sell, flop, or something in between, make sure you subscribe to follow along to see what actually happens with these 21 paintings. Because this isn't just about 21 little paintings, it's actually about something bigger. The question is, can I really sell my art? And if you've ever wondered the same thing about your own dream, maybe this journey will feel a little bit familiar. Maybe you might see that you're not crazy either, and just be brave enough to try. This character came out so cute, but the next drawing I think had to be my favorite, which is this duck. I had a lot of fun adding in the different layers, adding in the colors, and just getting him to look exactly the way I wanted him to look. I want to experiment a little bit more with more bird paintings. I think through doing this experiment, it got me to really understand what I like drawing. I've always known I love drawing characters and different faces and portraits, but I do like drawing birds, so I think I'll bring that more into my future pieces of art and my sketchbook practice. I really enjoyed drawing this bird, and having that freedom to add those colors. And birds are just so nice because they come in so many interesting colors, patterns, and textures on their feathers. So I think it's such a fantastic subject to try out, and also a fantastic subject to practice with. So let me know in the comments if you've ever experimented with painting or drawing birds, and whether or not it is a subject matter that you love to draw, because I was so happy with how this one turned out. I thought it was my strongest piece out of the entire collection, one of my strongest pieces. I had a lot of pieces that I did like, but I think this one was one of the stronger ones personally. And I really loved these 3 characters here. These were very cute. I loved how they came out. I felt like they would have been easier to draw if they were bigger. I did struggle with the tiny scale, and because I did 3 characters, it was difficult to add that detail in. So that is one thing going forward. Like a scene like this would really need to be a little bit bigger. So that's like one thing that I realized drawing this tiny, the struggle with being able to add detail and to make it actually look like something when you're drawing so small. Of course, the benefit is that you get to finish it more quickly, but it's really hard to add that detail. Looking at them all lined up, bright and colourful, each with their own personality, I felt this wave of pride. Not just because I finished them, but because I proved to myself that even with limited time, with exhaustion, I could still create. So, did they sell? The truth is, I haven't listed them yet, and they're sitting on my desk right here, 21 paintings, each with their own little story, waiting for their chance to find a home. And honestly, that's scarier than painting them, putting them out into the world, wondering if anyone will actually want them. I've signed and decided to number them, even though they're not a theme. They're all part of the 21 paintings in 3 days series, so I decided to number each and every single one of them and sign my name on the back, just so that they have that kind of little story behind them. So let me know in the comments which number was your favorite. I'd love to hear what you thought of it. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to see what I will do in the future.